Hey guys, it's Yishan here. This is my second take of this video. I already made Lundrity do all this once, so I feel really bad, but I really wanted to get this deck profile to you guys, so we're gonna do it again. Lundrity, for those of you that don't know, got top 8 at LCS 12 this weekend playing Pure Tri-Brigade. His list is right here. I know a lot of people were curious about, his reasonings for the cards, why he played certain cards, why he didn't. So we're gonna go over his deck, and then I'm gonna ask him probably a bunch of questions about it, and then hopefully we can all learn from his success. So Lundrity, if you want to introduce yourself, maybe about your previous tops, and then we'll get straight into the deck profile.
Sure. I'm Lundrity. I don't have any real tops because I've never been to a YCS, but in terms of my LCS tops, I got second place at LCS 5 and top 4 at LCS 6, and then this LCS now, top 8.
Top 8. And so, do you know how many people entered? Because these are some pretty big events. Even they don't. These are like large events, right? Like 200
About
something.
256.
That's
Something around
pretty
that,
impressive.
or
So,
250, something like that.
yeah, definitely. And your play looked solid all day. So, yeah. But if you could take us right into this deck, it looks real cool. Yeah, if you could take us away, that would be great.
Sure. So starting off the main deck, I played 3 Pot of Prosperity. I feel like it's the best consistency card in the games, and I think the deck's able to play it, so I played it. Next off, we got 3 Tenki, 1 Foolish, and 3 Fractal, just like good starters in the deck. Yeah, and then as for like playing Foolish, I feel like Foolish and I feel like Foolish is like a fine card to run in the deck. Like I didn't like in a lot of situations I actually like drawing Foolish with Fractal. Like if they Ash Fractal, you can like still Foolish and like play. Uh, so it was nice there. Next I played 3 Nerval and 3 Kit. Other good cards to run. I played 3 of each because I wanted to draw them, and also because sometimes the set can turn into like a grind game. You end up going to like all 3 of each of them. So I think 3 is important. And then I played 2 Karos. I didn't play 3 Karos because it's not necessarily a card I want to draw, but I still played 2 and not 1 because I want access to 2 copies of it in my deck. And the reason I don't necessarily want to draw Karos in this deck is because I'm not like trying to like play as like a combo deck. A lot of times when I'm going second, I'm not trying to like play through their whole board. And like I can't necessarily I necessarily can't play through their whole board because like half my hand can be trap cards. So I just ran the have that option as an extender. And then I played the one barrier statue and the 1 rendezvous. I still play barrier statue because it's auto win versus a lot of decks if it goes off. And yeah, and the 1 rendezvous just to protect it so they can't like normal summon a monster and like attack over or whatever. There's also rendezvous has some niche applications versus like random rogue decks like Eldlik or whatever, whereas the graveyard effect can still be useful even if you don't have like barrier statue on the field.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then next for the hand traps lineup, I played the 1 DB Crow. DB Crow honestly is like not very good this format, but the reason I played one of it was because it was searchable off Shuraig, and I thought that would be like it would be useful. Came up a couple times where I searched it off Shuraig, but none of the times it was like what it was 100% necessary. So like I'm still not sure if it's like the 1 DB Crow is needed or not, but it was nice.
Mm-hmm.
And then I played 3 Droll because Droll is really good versus Dragon Link and the stall deck. And even if like they can sometimes they can still do stuff like under Joel, but like what they're doing under Joel is like easy for you to manage. So like Joel's really good. And then 3 Ash is another good hand trap. Good versus a lot of decks. And the last hand trap, technically 2 Imperm, which honestly I wouldn't run. Going to the event, I knew Imperm wasn't like good, but I didn't feel like changing my list. And honestly, there wasn't necessarily another card that I 100% wanted to play, so I just
Uh-huh.
left it in my deck.
Okay.
And that's it for the hand traps. And moving on to the trap cards, I played 3 Trap Trick, one of the main traps of the deck. Trap Trick's really nice. It's a very versatile card. I play like 5 Trap Trick targets, and so Trap Trick can be like any one of them at any given time, which is like really good. And the main reason I played Trap Trick in this deck was because of the Tri-Brigade trap, Tri-Brigade Revolt, which I feel like is a really good card because it's offering disruption if you like summoning Shuraig, the Banisher card, and it's also like it gets you follow play because you're triggering Nerval to get a search as well. So it's a card that's doing a lot.
Yeah, this
And it's
card
like
is a
it can be hard
house.
for Yeah, and it can be also hard for your opponent to play around too, which is really nice. And the reason that I play 2 Revolt over 3 is because Revolt is it's really a card, but at the same time, it's not doing a lot. It doesn't do anything on its own. It technically requires setup, and even though like it's not like hard to set up, like Fractal by itself is like setting it up or whatever, but it still doesn't do anything by itself. So I didn't necessarily. It wasn't like 100%. It wasn't like great to draw 100% of the time, especially if like, they stop some of your plays. Um, but with Trap Trick, I'm able to run like 5 copies of Revolt without so I'm able to gain the benefits of having access to it a lot without the negatives of having access to it a lot. So I thought 2 Revolt was really nice. And similar reasons for that is why I'm running 2 Dynamiscus and 2 Needle Sealing. Because those are traps that are not like kind of like Revolt, they're not going to be like great 100% of the time. But like with Trap Tricks, you have the option to like seize them when you want them. And then when the times you don't want to seize them, they'll be less because you're only running 2. But I still play 3 Ice Dragons Prison because Ice Dragons Prison is really good this format, and I always want to see it.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense to me. I guess I have a few questions about the main deck before we move on to the side and extra. I guess the first question for me is Prosperity. What did you usually banish off Prosperity? And did you usually go 3 or 6?
So in the tournament, I feel about like half the time I went for 3 and half the time I went for 6. It really just depended if like I felt like the game was going to be like in a grind game or not, or like the matchup. But in terms of what I banish, Elder into the Entis, I banish that 100% of the time basically.
Yeah.
The third charade almost never comes up, but I still had it in the deck because it was just like there's nothing else I really want. I feel like I needed to run, so I just kept it anyway. Yeah, the third charade gets banished most of the time. The second Farragut is not really coming up much, but especially since like in my turn 1 combos, I'm not like making it. Farragut, so second Farragut got banished a lot. I mean, Karibo got banished a lot. And then like depending on like the game state, like sometimes like, I'm going second, I'm siding up Barrier Statue. In that case, like I don't need Harpy Conductor, I don't need the Smorg Link. Although I don't banish the Smorg Link 100% of the time without Barrier Statue, because in some game states it can still be nice. Like against some decks like Smorg and just summoning cards they can't target, it can still be like rough for them to deal with. But generally, like if I didn't have Barrier Statue in my deck, I sided those out. And then if I really needed to like if I like there was like one game where like I got down to like 1 card in my extra deck because I had to resolve Prosperity multiple times to be able to not lose. And in that case, like I banished like Appaloosa. I had already gone through everything else, and I had to banish Appaloosa and Rugal. And but yeah, mostly the time I never banish the Ancient Access Code, the Ancient Warrior Link, and like a Shrek or something like that. Those are always in my extra deck.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. That's a very detailed explanation, so I appreciate it. I think it's gonna help a lot of people. Okay, second question is Rescue Cat. A lot of people have been playing Rescue Cat in the combo heavier versions. It seems like it could work in this style version, but obviously you chose not to play it. Were you considering it and just said, okay, it's too fragile, or I guess what was the deal behind that?
So I actually was playing it in the previous version, but I decided to cut it just because I found that the best hands of the deck weren't hands where I opened like Rescue Cat and a bunch of other cards. There were hands where I opened like 2 Tri-Brigade monsters and then like a bunch of like defensive cards like traps or whatever. And I didn't want to run more like combo cards or like Rescue Cat. But at the same time, I didn't want to cut down on the number of Tri-Brigades I was running because like I mentioned earlier, I feel like a lot of games should end up using a lot of them or all of them. So I just cut Rescue Cat completely because I didn't want to have too many hands where I opened too many monsters.
Okay, I see. Interesting. Okay, thank you for that. We've got so then I guess obviously I think maybe Bird Up, Lyreless Tri-Brigade, K-Cat, whatever people want to call it, was the more popular version of the deck before you played this. Obviously you saw the potential in this deck right away. How I guess obviously you felt this was better than Bird Up. Is there any reason why you felt that way?
So like the version I played the most is like the Lyreless version, like everyone else, and I really enjoy that version. But sometimes it just felt a little bit too fragile, and also like I didn't like how many there runs a lot of cards you don't want to see in your hand. Like sometimes like the non I forget the names of them. Swallow and Sparrow.
Yes,
Yeah, like sometimes they can be okay to draw, and like you can summon like Sparrow off like Farragut and yada yada yada. But like if you're looking at like what hand do you want to draw, those cards are not going to be in your hand. And like there's Apex Avion, and then like also like Oath, which like I feel like if you want to play that version, it's mandatory because like everyone's on a lot of people are on Dark Ruler.
Right.
You don't just want
Yeah.
to like auto lose to that card. I just had a lot of cards I didn't want to draw. And it led to like a lot of awkward hands, and sometimes felt a little bit too fragile, especially like in a meta where like Shadal Invoke is seeing a lot of play, and like you can auto boost the window and stuff like that. And meanwhile, like in this variant, like I feel like I'm fine. Like my Tri-Brigade engine, like into window is still fine. Like the traps are doing a lot versus that deck. So,
Okay. Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, I agree with you because yeah, like a lot of people are playing Dark Ruler, and this deck, I mean that bird up deck loses pretty hard to Dark Ruler unless you're opening full combo. But like you said, that comes at a price of playing a bunch of cards that you don't want to draw. Okay, so that makes sense to me. So you said you already talked about impermanence not being as good. Is there any other traps you considered? Because I know a lot of my subscribers, they're like on a budget, so they might not have Ice Dragon's Prison. Is there any other good trap, or would you just play more of the traps you already had in your deck?
So I definitely know that feel because like I sold my Ice Dragon Prison. They were like $20. Now they're like 60 for some reason.
Yeah, those.
As for better traps, I'm not 100% sure. I'd almost probably definitely run like a third revolt in that case, even though I feel like it wasn't like great though like open sometimes. It's like and still I don't feel like there are that many other great traps right now. I feel like Ice Dragon Prison is just like by far better than a lot of them. I'd maybe play like Torrential instead, even though like I feel like Needle Filling is better than Torrential because like it plays in the stall Invoke better because of Meltdown, and like it's better works better with Trap Trick than Torrential does, and Needle Filling is also better going second. But I'd maybe look into that. Solemn Strike's also an option. In terms of like, depending on your like your local meta or whatever, you can look at other hand traps. I didn't run any other hand traps in the main deck for this one, just because I didn't feel like there were ones that were like good versus Dragon Link and good versus Shadal Invoked. But yeah,
I see. No, yeah,
cards like those.
No, yeah, this. I see. That'll help us. I think. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I would say the same thing to my subscribers. Listen, I mean, if you don't have Ice Dragon's Prison, I mean, Revolt is so powerful that you're basically just taking a risk. I mean, you might brick with it every once in a while, but like, hey, it's only like 10 cents that card, so you might as well just throw 3 of it in your deck. Okay, that is great. I guess my last question about the main deck, then we can move on to the side deck, is the statue. So we were talking earlier before the video, Lundrity and I guess your ideal first turn play, if you're allowed to, I mean, you open a Fractal, send a Nerval, search a kit, and then make the Heartbeat Conductor, make this a Morgue Link. Was that sort of your plan going first? I know you told me it didn't work out so well for you because you lost so many RPSs. So I guess, statue, was that the plan? Or is there any world where you could have seen yourself running Mist Valley instead of the statue? Because I think some people were pointing out that it conflicts with Revolt. If you have statue, Revolt sort of doesn't do anything. So did you ever consider running Apex Avion, and how did the statue perform for you during the tournament?
So like comment on the statue versus the Revolt thing, it is a little bit unfortunate that they don't work well together, but at the same time, if they do remove the statue, then you can Revolt, and then the statue can be summoned off Revolt because like the Link summon isn't part of the effect, and like it's also negating the effects of the barrier statue.
Yep.
As for the game plan turn 1, most time it was just make barrier statue and just like be able to like be in a position where you can like kill them the following turn. Sometimes if you open like a lot of like, obviously the ideal hand in this deck is like Tri-Brigade Monster 2 and like traps for like defensive cards. If you open, sometimes you're gonna open hands where you open only Tri-Brigade Monsters, and in that case, I don't just go for like statue pass. I try to make like Appaloosa and like statue or like double Dragon Lords or whatever. Also, sometimes I still want like Appaloosa some Morgue Link, because sometimes some people will hold like Ash for the some Morgue Link too. And also, one round I play versus Virtual World, and like I didn't make statue then turn 1. I
right.
Like
yeah.
Appaloosa or whatever.
Yeah. That makes sense. Okay, interesting. All right, I think that's it for the main deck. So yeah, if we could move on to the side deck now, that would be great. Yes, let's go take a look here.
I'm gonna be honest. I know this isn't what a lot of people want to hear, but I didn't put any thought into the side deck. I made it in like 10 seconds.
Okay.
But as for the side deck, there's Lone Pankratops, 1 Alpha, and 3 Nibiru. This is like for combo decks. As for like the 1 Alpha, I had like my list side deck was at like 15 cards, but I had like one meme card in my side deck, like a Gishki card that a friend of mine said to run. But like I posted out at the last second. I took out the Gishki card, and I was like, the first thing that came to my mind was Alpha, so I just added in the one Alpha.
Uh-huh.
And then 3 Lancia, just for like rogue decks, like Dinosaur or Virtual World. I don't side in against Lancia against Dragon because even though sometimes it can be good, but most of the time versus Dragon it's like you're just going you're just hand looping yourself, you're going -1.
You know, I felt the same way recently. I was like, man, this card does not like it can be good, but like, it's so mediocre. It feels like, yeah, okay.
I don't think it's consistently good versus the Dragon deck.
I do have a question about the alpha. Did you ever draw it? Like, or would it have been better to just play the Gishki tech so you could say, oh, I played this Gishki card in my side deck and topped LCS?
I never draw it, so it would have been better to play the Gishki card.
Okay, you definitely could have memed on some people. Okay, got it.
Yeah. Then 3 Cosmic, just like back row removal, and like what's we call it? Just Fighter versus Shadal Invoked.
Mm-hmm.
I also could have played Harpy Feather Duster for rogue decks, but that maybe could have been instead of the alpha, or like I don't know. I didn't think like I wasn't fighting Feather Duster against like some of the good decks, so I just didn't run it. And I didn't run Red Reboot too because like, well, it's not good. So I guess I read for Feather Duster, but also like I'm playing a trap deck, so I can't even capitalize on the Red Reboot.
Mm-hmm.
Consistently. And then I sided 3 Judgment in the 1 Imperial Order. I felt like I had side deck space for it. So I was able to comfortably run those cards. I decided them in going first, and it's nice. Helps protect your statue versus some stuff, or like if they're like lightning storm your back row or whatever. So the Judgment and Imperial Order were doing a lot.
Yeah, I saw your Prankets feature match. That Imperial Order, or when you played against a Prankets player, like you flipped an order
Game
on him
3.
because he flipped. Yeah, I don't remember what he flipped, but like he had a Call by the Grave set I remember too as well. So it was pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Stopped Desires and a Call by the Grave.
Yeah, that game was interesting because like I think I didn't draw any engine cards turn 1, so I just set traps pass.
Yep, you set 4
and then
traps.
my turn, I drew Fractal. I was like, hopefully he doesn't have Ash. And he didn't have Ash, and I was able to play. Technically, I could have gone for game that turn because like while playing through Nibiru, because I could have like revolted during his battle phase or my battle phase. But I didn't know his trap was a Call by the Grave. I thought it was like an Ice Dragon's Prison. And technically, if he has Ice Dragon's Prison, it's correct to do it on the normal summon. But I was like maybe he's confused about the deck or whatever and just doesn't do it. So I just tried to play it safe.
Right.
Order up, so like I was fine. Playing it safe.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. No, yeah, I think a lot of people were, because I noticed on DB Grinder was posting replays, and a lot of people were like, why did Lundrity do this? Why did Lundrity do that? But then if you actually think about the plays, like one of them you're playing around triple tactics talent, which makes a lot of sense. Like obviously you can't see the hand of your opponent, so like you're like when we're watching DB Grinder, we're like, oh yeah, this guy has no, like, what are you doing? Why are you not doing this? And then obviously we can see his hand. He has no triple tactics talent. But I think when you explain it, like, oh, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, if he's drawing like bricks for 4 turns, yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, like there's a Dragon Link player. Like I think like I Dynamiscus instead of discarding Nerval, I discarded something else. And I was like almost sure he has triple tactics downs because like it's a Dragon Link deck. He isn't able to play for like 5 turns in a row. What could he possibly have?
Right.
His hand either has to be like defensive cards, like triple tactics Ash, or like something like the banish cards like Levianeer, Red MD without something to banish, something like that. So I was like, I'm gonna play around tactics, and he actually did end up having the tactics. So
yeah, okay. That's really smart. Honestly, I'm one of the greediest players alive. I probably would have played right into the tactics. I'm not gonna lie. So that was good on your part for sure. Okay, so I'm glad to know. I think the Judgments in the Imperial Order, I mean, that's kind of cool. I think that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, okay, so I guess we can just finish this up. If you could walk us through the extra deck, that would be great.
For the extra deck, first off, I played Lundrity Entis. That was in case I ran into an invoked Shadal player running Maximus. It never came up. But like I felt like comfortable running it just because I had like the extra deck space too. And also like some people like they run multiple Maximus targets, and I thought about running multiple. But in this deck, in this variant specifically, what Shadal Invoke is doing isn't that scary to me. And like I can just like removing the Makaba, like I'm fine with that because then I can deal with the rest of the board. Like I'm not too scared of Winda, so I was fine with just running Elder Entity. Next off, I played 3 Charade. The 3rd Charade, some people like were questioning it. 3rd Charade almost never comes up, but like there's nothing else I wanted to run, so I just had the 3rd Charade in there. two or I guess one Rugal, one of the Link 3. I almost really never make this. Most of the time, it's just like Link to ladder into like Access Code or Appaloosa. But like, and the LCS has never came up. But it's like sometimes before, in the games I played before the LCS, sometimes like I was in a position where like I had to like revolt for 3 just to like get like follow play for the next turn or something like that. I mean, it's something to have. 2 Farragut. I'm I'm not like super like a lot of time just like Barrier Statue passing or like Appaloosa Statue pass. Like I'm not making Farragut turn 1. 2 Farragut almost never comes up, but I still ran the 2 just because there's nothing else I wanted to run. The 1 Smorgalink, summon the Barrier Statue. Almirage and Link Rebo is like my Link 1 options. Most of the time I'm going with Almirage, but I had the extra space, so I ran Link Rebo. The 1 Doom Eagle, it's Link 3, you can ladder into like Link 4, but it also has a pretty good effect too. And also a lot of times, like, let's say turn 1 I summon like Smorgalink and I have Statue on the board. And then during their end phase, I summon Nerval, my end phase, and then my turn, I go to main phase. I banish like Conductor and like Kit or Karos from my graveyard to go into like a Link 2, then link it to the Doom Eagle. It's like Doom Eagle if your opponent has no monsters in the graveyard, plus the Morgling plus Barrier Statue is 8200. So it's it would end the game like that. So like the Doom Eagle like boosting its attack was actually like kind of relevant. I came up a bunch of times too where I just end the game because of that.
Yeah, I mean it's beefy. It's beefy, that's for sure.
Yeah. And I think one time too, I was playing versus a Zodiac Skyshaker player, and like I used Doom Eagle effect just because like I just shuffled a hand trap to like in his graveyard into his deck, just so like he had like a just to like reduce the chance of him drawing a good card next turn. And then, like he draws the card for turn, reveals the card I shuffle back. That's so good. Either like it almost never like relevant. It was actually relevant there.
Right.
1 Heartbeat Conductor, just like ladder into the Smorg Link. The 1 Ancient Warrior Link, double Dragon Lords as like disruption, Link 2 and all that. That's nice. 1 Appaloosa. Sometimes you make it turn 1, play your own hand traps, and like when I'm going for games, sometimes I make it to play around the Nibiru. And then the 1 Access Code. Access Code's just a really good card. That won me so many games that I wouldn't have won it otherwise. It was Access Code so good.
Yeah, I definitely saw you using that a lot. I mean, definitely a lot more than like I've ever wanted Access Code in the bird up version. And I guess because you just have probably a few less extenders in terms of like offensive power in this deck. So Access Code seemed really nice. I definitely saw you utilizing it really well throughout the day. I have to ask you one big question about the extra deck that people are going to get mad if I don't ask. So have you heard about the new Tri-Brigade Link to, I think it's called Bear Bloom in Lightning Overdrive? The one that can search a spell and trap, basically.
Yeah.
What do you think of that card? Do you think you would change your build if that card existed, or would you just sort of toss a few in your extra deck and be like, oh, it'll come up and I can just search a Revolt for free, otherwise, like, it's whatever sort of thing? Like, how much of a difference do you think that card will make?
So I follow the OCG a lot, and right now, like, Tri-Brigade in the OCG without like Loyalist cards, without Barrier Statue or like anything, is actually doing like, really well. Because of that link. I think it's a good card. It's a really good card. I'm not sure exactly what I would change. In the OCG, like I said, they don't run Barrier Statue, they don't run the Lyreless cards. So maybe it'll be worse to like cut the Rendezvous, cut the Barrier Statue, and then like just run other cards and cut those bricks. In terms of like the extra deck, and I would if I were to run it, I'd probably run 2 of it. But like I think it's probably I'd probably run 2 of it and cut like the other entity into or something. Like in the OCG, they only run 1 Farragut, most of them, and like 2 Bear Blossom. So like maybe I would run that ratio.
I see.
Seems alright.
That makes sense. Okay, well, I'm good. I'm looking forward to that card too. I'm definitely looking forward to trying out your deck on some Dueling Book matches, because it looks like a lot of fun. It looks really solid. It seems really consistent. So congratulations on your top 8. Are there any shoutouts that you want to give before we end the deck profile?
Yeah, there's a Discord I'm in, and like they were messing around with like not necessarily the same list, but like Tri-Brigade with like Revolt and the TCG before I was, and like that was what convinced me to like mess around with it, and I'm glad I did because it's really fun.
Okay, yeah. This deck looks like a lot of fun. I know people love Tri-Brigade rule. Activating that card just feels so good when you get it to work.
It really does.
Okay, well, thank you, Lundrity, for coming on. I know a lot of people are going to learn a lot from this deck profile, so I hope you guys enjoyed. Hope you guys learned something. Hope you guys win some more games because of it. And until next time, guys, I'll see you guys in the next video.